Hi, today we're going to look at feminism in education and feminism in society in general. And we're first going to look at Joanne Dillabo's perception of Bourdieu. And Bourdieu's work she saw as linked with power within micro and macro structures and domination in education. And class was linked with habitus. And at the end of this piece today, we'll look at the habitus. Bourdieu's position, she posits a symbolic form of cultural domination which is shaped through cultural, arbitrary, and contested nature of social reality. And in this way, we can probably consider society and the changes that are occurring within society today, that there's more of an effort towards cooperation than it is towards competition. And that there is in different sectors, it's certainly different. In capitalism and money, it's although there is competition, there is still an increase in cooperation. And you can look at that even from a capitalist perspective, that if you look at a food court, all of the competitors are nearby, because by cooperating to stay together or in one area, then what happens is that everyone that wants food, then they go to that area and then they choose. So it brings more people to them. Or an industrial park would be a similar type of thing. Bourdieu saw sexual division of labor through accumulated cultural history, led by gender equality in education, inequality in education. And she saw identity, culture, and social structure were all entwined. So from here, we're going to move to the three waves of feminism. And the first wave of feminism was the woman's quest. And the suffrage in terms of before World War II in trying to attain the vote. Post-World War II, it was looking at education and welfare, sex differences and sexual roles. And so ultimately, and it's one interesting point here is that when they were looking at, in the first phase of feminism, when they were looking at getting the vote, it was not based on class. It went across all class sectors, and so it was a community event on the part of all women. So there was no marginalization there. It was for everyone, and it was a cohesive effort by all. Hegel uses the slave parable to indicate that the slave could see further and better than the master because they were marginalized. So because they were marginalized, they were sensitive to what they saw. They saw it all, whereas for the master took it all for granted, and in many cases just couldn't see it for what it was. In the second wave of feminism, it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and that there was the sexual liberation of women. It was looking at external access and benefits. It had a lot to do with sex and reproduction, so that they had the freedom to choose, and also addressed domestic violence, equality of opportunity, social inclusion, and gender. And one of the interesting pieces in this is that womenism by black feminism to the white said that you're only precipitating what we are trying to get over, which was an example of patriarchal hegemony. And so within the second wave of feminism, there was, although it was a very strong and powerful movement that did move it forward, there was some women within that movement were marginalized. So it wasn't as pervasive as the first wave of feminism. In the 70s, it was noted that it was white, and it excluded the elite, and it lacked the support of the black feminist movement. So there was a little bit of or more marginalization, certainly, within the second wave. And out of the second wave, social theory evolved, and this is a movement where there's more than one way to look at things, and that they're really set up in many ways, the third wave. And Mesera highlighted the importance of identity, agency, and a place called home. And the place called home underlies the impossibility of the wave to feminist dream of embracing an all-embracing solidarity between the sisters, and so that there also speaks to the I guess the marginalization within the second wave that occurred. So the third wave was in the late 80s to the present, and it drew on gender scholars. So this was where women got the opportunity, they got the education. A lack of education was also in the first wave, and so they got the positions. Now they became lecturers and professors in universities. They were in powerful positions where they could influence opinion and state their opinion. It responded to the political, economical, technological, and cultural era as it was, and the gender scholars really presented the information out there. So just a couple of notes and implications is that in the European feminist movement that re-emerged from World War II, it was easier for feminism to occur in democratic countries than it was for Eastern Bloc countries. In fact, I believe it wasn't until 1989 that feminism emerged in the Eastern Bloc countries. Also, feminism in Nordic countries lacked a radical edge, and it's kind of interesting when you look at that, and I question if it lacked a radical edge because they were further forward in the Nordic countries. So, and that there is a question that I'd be happy for other people to respond because I don't. My sense of it is that they were more liberated, but I'm not completely sure on that. So I'd be open to feedback on that. And another thing that occurred was within the European Union is by promoting your agenda in the European Union, then if it was accepted by the Union, then you hit many countries in one shot. So if there was a labor equality issue that was addressed by the European Union, or a feminist issue that was addressed by the European Union, then automatically it occurred. It was a blanket policy that occurred throughout the European Union. So feminism remains a powerful discursive epistemological influence, and I think that there's a lot to be gained from feminism, not only by feminists but by everyone in education. When we look at Fier, the pedagogy of the oppressed was a challenge and support, and it highlighted white privilege in the classroom. Feminist pedagogy focused on class methods, individual experiences for teachers and students, increasing the quality of power relations, and transformative power leads to an increase in consciousness and understanding of gendered context. So the Weiner highlighted 6 principles for feminist pedagogy, and they really can apply not only to feminism but also to white privilege and other forms of marginalization or power and privilege. And the first is to reform student-teacher relationships so the roles are blurred. Second is empowerment, and to enable power to be shared. And there's a question in terms of empowerment, because that implies that there is power to give, which implies a form of hegemony whereby there is power over one another. So, and that there is questioned by feminists. Building community, collaborative learning through relationships and dialogues, privilege of the individual voice, extending the right to have voice, respect for diversity of personal experience, and that there offers an affirmation of the personal experience as a central concept of learning, and challenging traditional views. Um, and I think that some of these concepts here are very similar to what Etienne Wenger highlighted in his work, and in promoting the individual to take direction and accountability and responsibility for themselves, where the teacher passes over power to the individual student so that they can pursue the interests that they have, etc. So it's not just within, even though this speaks to feminism, it's not just necessarily to be applied to feminism, because it can be applied to any situation. In terms of Bourdieu terms and the habitus, she speaks to being explicit to the form of feminism, and also that teachers cannot give away power because we have to use it productively to challenge, deconstruct common sense assumptions and uncritical judgments in our students and ourselves. And I think that there is a very practical perspective in terms of being able to still maintain the individual presence, whereby power is shared, but there is also a responsibility in sharing power. And so in the classroom, in today's educational system, I think that there is an important piece to work with. To work with the situatedness of our students so that concepts are comprehensible to them, and expect and invite resistance. And that there is a critical piece also, because that there includes or enhances the discussion, the communication, and the connectedness with the students. And in the next piece, when we look at critical race theory in education, then we'll go into more detail on that. And finally, our pedagogy should make a difference, where we and our students should challenge others and hegemony. And so that's it for today. Thank you.